Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is June 12th, and today's episode is going to cover a new Launchpad episode with Kane, a whole bunch of Houston upgrades. We are going to be talking about some interesting staking news that's coming out of Metamask that might be tying into Houston, maybe. We're going to be speculating a little bit there. And then we're also going to be talking about some news about Lido CSM and a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
So we're going to start today's episode with this news about a new Launchpad episode. And this is actually episode 20 of Launchpad, which is really cool. And Launchpad, for those of you who don't know, is Rocket Fuel, interview series. Mostly I interview people in the Rocket Pool community or team, or people building projects that are somehow related to Rocket Pool. I had some really cool guests on the show over like the last couple of years that I've been doing it, and this one was Kane. Now this one was slightly different from other Launchpad episodes because we didn't spend any time like talking about Kane's personal life, personal issues, personal like journey. It was mostly just about the Houston upgrade. So we talked about what was in Houston chosen the way it was. We talked about some of the challenges towards like designing the different aspects of Houston. We talked about what on-chain voting and like the staking stuff that is going into Houston actually are. And then we also talked about some of Kane's thoughts about Saturn. So if you are interested in listening to this, it's only 45 minutes. It's like, half the length of a normal Launchpad episode. But I thought it was really interesting, especially some of the technical details that Kane was giving. And you'll definitely want to hear some of his thoughts about Saturn, especially regarding the timeline. Not that that should be written in stone. So definitely keep an eye on that. Moving on to actual Rocket Pool news now, we have oDAO news that came in through yesterday. So the oDAO vote went through 7 days ago. There's a 7-day period before they can actually start voting on it. And this is, to accept the Houston upgrade. Well, that has already begun now, and we have the Rocket Pool team being the first to start voting on the Houston upgrade here. So Rocket Pool 1, Rocket Pool 2, then Rocket Pool 3, Rocket Pool T, which is their fourth account, then voted for Houston. And after that, we got the Beacon Chain oDAO member voted in as well. And we got Superfizz. Since then, we've had Crypto Manufacturer, which is Yorick. And we've had the rocket scientists as well, which is, of course, the rocket scientists from the Rocket Pool community. So we have had 8 out of the 10 votes we need to reach quorum, which is really, really awesome to see. So that's where we stand right now. And I think we'll get the next 2 votes within the next few hours, potentially. But this time tomorrow, definitely we'll have all like the 10 votes that we need. But this is actually really exciting that everything for Houston will be done pretty much. Like I'm strongly suspecting that it'll be all finished by this time tomorrow, and then we'll be ready for the upgrade this weekend on Sunday night, Sunday evening, late afternoon US time, and early morning Australian time. So this is actually really, really exciting. Jasper put out a tweet about it, saying that the vote to enable the Houston upgrade for Rocket Pool is live. This upgrade introduces on-chain voting, enables the integration of node operators, and opens the door for major trustless partnerships between institutions. Actually, trust minimized, not quite trustless, but still pretty cool. And it says, shout out to Superfizz and Beacon Chain for voting early. So this is actually like really cool. Let me just give that a quick retweet. Yeah, the voting should be done by tomorrow's episode. So it looks like everything for Houston is ready to go. I actually wrote this post on ETH Finance about the Houston upgrade. Yeah, the post is here. So it says, just giving details saying, when it's going live. And then I kind of link to the Medium post about it. And then I kind of explain what the big updates are. So, how this is removing one of the last big pieces of FUD, how the Guardian wallet, some of the features are going to be coming into the control of the community, and how the on-chain voting is going to work. And then I talked about the, completing a picture for the different kinds of staking setups that we'll be able to get now because of Stake ETH on behalf of and the RPL withdrawal address. and how this opens up things for things like node set and also institution level whale marriages. So this post has been quite well received on ETH Finance today, and it'll probably be one of the due posts for tomorrow. But if you want to get a quick update on what's happening, you can give this post a read and get that information. So yeah, Houston is ready to go. It's pretty exciting that it's all working quite nicely, and I will have updates, I guess, over the next couple of days for things that are going to be going into like last minute Houston stuff. There probably will be one more smart node version out potentially between now and then, but otherwise I think everything's looking good. So make sure that you updated on your node to 1.13.4, and yeah, let's get ready to celebrate Houston, and hopefully we'll get some of that bullish news coming out in the days after it. So speaking about some of the bullish news that could potentially be coming out in the days after Houston, this article from CoinDesk today talked about Metamask adding pool staking for cheaper Ethereum validation. So they say a new feature aims to expand the accessibility of staking, which previously required an investment north of $100,000, but the project is still missing features offered by other staking platforms. So this is interesting because they said Metamask is the most popular wallet for Ethereum. They'll roll out a pooled staking feature with users beginning this week, and a move that would make it cheaper to contribute to the blockchain network security compared to running a full validating node. It says the new feature will allow users to participate in Ethereum staking, a popular crypto investment strategy that involves parking tokens in an address on the blockchain in exchange for rewards. For proof of stake blockchains like Ethereum, staking is the primary way that network is kept secured. So they're saying with pool staking, Metamask users will now have an easier way to stake ETH in enterprise grade validators while maintaining full control of their ETH, earning rewards and making Ethereum more secure. And that's Matthew from Metamask said, he's from Consensus. So then the article goes on to mention about how there's pooled operators already, like Lido and Rocket Pool, and what's going to happen here, whether they're going to get an LST or anything like that. So if you watched the weekly Orbit episode that I recorded with Pat and Jasper last week, Jasper had this idea that Consensus, on their roadmap, this was Gigabread a couple of years ago, around the merge time, said that they were going to stake their treasury with Rocket Pool. And this is, in the document that they made public at the time. And the idea is that they would potentially stake some of that with Rocket Pool, or maybe, a big chunk of that with Rocket Pool. And maybe, now with protocol level whale marriages being enabled, they'll be able to do that in a much better way than they were able to do it before, like using splitter contracts that, could introduce levels of risk that they weren't comfortable with. But this is really interesting that, they're still offering this through Metamask. Now, the idea was that, this might not be happening because of their lawsuit with the SEC. And Jasper's retort was, well, they didn't remove the staking service from their wallet. So they obviously don't care what the SEC says, which I think was a very interesting perspective and one that was quite heartening actually with this theory. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this goes forward. But, Metamask here are now, they were previously offering staking for 30 people with 32 ETH. Now they, I guess, are pooling users' ETH together to try to make it more accessible for some users. But it's going to be interesting to see how they don't interact with Rocket Pool going forward. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Consensus is a member of the oDAO, and they're actually one of the very few companies that invested in Rocket Pool during the ICO. So there's some interesting history there between the two protocols, I guess, or Rocket Pool and the institution of Consensus. So let's see what happens with that. But I thought this was interesting to bring to your all attention. Let's get back to the Discord here, and we have an update from Mav here in the protocol update. And Mav is saying that there's a whole bunch of upcoming talks that are happening. So he says, hey, everyone, check out the event section on Discord for details on a few calls coming up over the next few days. We hope to see you there. So there's 3 new events that have been listed. The first is a Hieroglyphs Twitter space with Ken. That's taking place on Thursday afternoon, US Eastern Time. After that, there's a bi-weekly update or fortnightly update, whatever you want to call it, and community call attached with that. That's usually, Langers and a member of the team, most often Mav, sometimes it used to be Joe, would come on the community call and talk through all the things that the community's asking questions about. And that was also on Thursday the 13th, taking place at 9 p.m. Eastern time if you're in the US. And then there's the Houston launch party live stream, which is taking place on Sunday at 7:30 Eastern time, which is in 4 days time. So that is actually going to be really interesting as well. So definitely mark your calendars for some of these events. The hieroglyphs live stream is actually, I think, going to get quite popular because a lot of people are interested in hieroglyphs and how to use it. The hieroglyphs put out a tweet saying, time to assemble heroes, join us in space with Rocket Pool's Ken as we dive into using mini pools with hieroglyphs. And then that's on Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 8 p.m. UTC. Set your calendars, and the spaces link is below. So that will be taking place on the hieroglyphs Twitter account. And like they said, it was hosted by Ken. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. I think it's a really exciting new tool for a lot of node operators. Right, Joe popped into the Discord today and he said, "Whack, I have a present for you. Behold, serial number 0000 has been reborn." And this is a picture of a Proteus, and it's a new Proteus, and it's called the Phoenix. And he says he made a new node. So this, we don't have much details on what is or isn't included in this new Proteus, but this is a version 2 of the Proteus staking device. The previous one was based on the Rock 5B board, which I guess the technology is over a year old now. So it would make sense for Joe to upgrade the board that the version 2 of the Proteus uses. But this is actually really cool. So there's not much information on this yet, but it was really great to see Joe in trading today. It's been a while since he's been in trading, and he kind of became a little bit of an AMA with Joe later on in this conversation, which we're going to be talking about at the end of the episode. But for those of you who have wanted a Proteus but never got around to buying one of the first Protei, definitely reach out to Joe, and maybe he can make you a Proteus version 2. And maybe in the coming days, he'll tell us what's different between the Proteus 1 and the Proteus 2. So that is definitely something really exciting. Okay, next we have some news from the GMC, and here the GMC are talking about bounties in June 2024, which is now. So he said on April, it's Schifrin here, right, it's posting on April 24th, the Rocket Pool Protocol DAO passed RPIP 39, which allows the Grants Management Committee to pay out incentives to community members engaging with the bounty system. This breaks more complex bounties into 3 distinct parts. The first is the bounty proposal, second is the bounty definition, and third is the bounty support contact. So what's happening now is that people helping with these 3 different processes will actually be getting incentives from the community to help move things along with bounties. And it says, aside from the new streamlined proposal incentives, the GMC is now seeking assistance externally for bounty definitions and bounty supporters. On June 4th, the GMC approved the following bounty incentives. So for a proposal, you can get $50. For definition incentives, you can get 2% of the bounty reward or a minimum of $75. And for support incentives, you can get 2% of the bounty reward or a minimum of $50. So that's up to 2%. So it says currently the GMC is seeking for a definition for, and then there's a DAO engagement documentation. As you can find the bounty definition template here, so that you can follow the link if you're interested in doing that. And Schifrin also goes on to say, if you're interested in writing a definition, please post your submissions or questions here, or reach out to the GMC within their dedicated server. And so far, there have been no responses to that. So if you are interested in helping making bounties better and earning some money while you're doing that, definitely reach out to read the links that are in this thread and reach out to Schifrin if you have any questions. Okay, and Schifrin also put this tweet out saying, kind of explaining the same thing. So you can have a look at that as well if you want. Now going back to Rocket Pool's Discord here, we have news from Schifrin about a POAP for the buy party that was held last week. This buy party wasn't that great at making big buys happen, but Schifrin, acknowledged that by saying we're going to need a bigger buy party next time. And it was nice that this buy party happened. And Ballin.eth, Ramana, SNG, Core Ethereum and Samus were the ones who made the biggest purchases during this buy party. So congratulations to them. They got their names on the POAP, but everyone who submitted a transaction dated within that period got the POAP. So congratulations to those people. Schifrin released a tweet saying that the buy party is actually going to become a monthly event now. So every month that you buy RPL, you'll be getting a POAP. So Schifrin said, did you join the buy party last week? Participants received a POAP for buying RPL. Come back in July when any RPL purchases made throughout the entire month will be eligible. Buy party POAPs will be eligible for a raffle later this year. So that's actually really nice. And of course, with these raffles, the more POAPs you have, the more tickets you'll get towards winning one of the prizes. So this is actually really nice. And that's actually a really nice looking POAP. It's like a Rocket Pool themed nightclub with lots of orange lights and people dancing with their silhouettes. So good stuff, Schifrin. Okay, but going back to the Rocket Pool Discord here, we got a screenshot of a little sticker, I guess, that Halooo shared in the Discord. And this is from immunefi saying, congratulations, Halooo, for getting your paid report on immunefi. So Halooo got $5,000 for a medium severity bug, and the project was for Rocket Pool. And this is, of course, the bug that delayed Houston upgrade by another couple of weeks the second time, and means that it's taking place on June 17th instead of, well, 16th, 17th, depending where in the world you are, instead of June 5th. It would have happened already by now. So congrats to Halooo, and also like FU, but just kidding. But this is actually really nice. He got the money already, so it wasn't an issue about the money, but this was just getting this nice little badge basically to say that he is now a professional hacker. So good stuff. Okay, yesterday in trading, there was a whole bunch of discussion about Lido CSM. This is their community staking module and it going live. Well, Lido released some documentation about it, and Proteus shared that, and he said CSM testnet will be available for early adopters from July 1st, and then the CSM testnet will be available for everyone from the end of July. And then Samus here has some criteria for how you become a testnet early adopter. So he says, run CSM testnet with good performance, join in Lido events or Galaxy Oats, I'm not sure what that stands for, and then oDAO credentials and solo stake on rated. With more details, they say that September, October will be the EA mainnet list will be proposed. So I guess that is their allowed list, maybe, and then there'll be tickets for that, and I guess they'll be doing audits probably at some point in the next few months. So it looks like they're still on their timeline for getting this CSM, going by September, October. And now Rocket Pool Saturn 1, which will kind of be competing with Lido CSM, will probably be coming a little bit later than this. Most likely, the best case scenario is towards the end of this year. Yoakum earlier was kind of like sketching out what it might look like. So he says, the votes going through in the next month or 6 weeks. After that, coding will start, and hopefully, if coding can get done by the end of the summer, that will give us time into the fall to do audits and testing, which means that, in the best case scenario, we could go live with Houston 1 by the end of this year. And that I think is quite very much like the best case scenario. There will be an element of making sure that everything kind of goes well for that to happen. It seems like Lido CSM is a little bit further along than we are in that process, and we need to catch up pretty much. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on, I think, over the next few weeks and months, really, to see how things are getting along with them. We already covered that. Okay, next we got an update from Butter, and this is about Beacon Chain saying, okay, my fellow friends, happy version 2 beta on Haleshki, and then there's a link to the Beacon Chain website's version 2 dashboards, and then he's got a whole bunch of documentation here saying that there's documentation and links, and then Proteus shared some screenshots of what it looks like, and the summary section at the bottom still requires some work, I think. Butter shared a link to a 1-minute video. If you want to watch that, it's on YouTube. And then Butter also shared the information about there being some issues with the summary section. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. Butter shared this information about the Rocket Pool Haleshki Genesis team and how they're performing. Some of them are performing fairly well. So we have people like Rocknet, Invis, Ramana, Yokum, who are performing pretty decently. We have some people who had some downtime recently. So Stirs had some downtime. Vaka has been down, I think, for the last few days. And then Object has been down for over a week. In fact, many weeks, at least 3 weeks. So that's not looking so good. But otherwise, it seems like most Rocket Pool node operators are doing quite a good job with this. So actually, let me show you the screen. So it looks like there's some new stats here. There's some new measurements. So that's actually really nice. And I'm looking forward to people kind of bug testing this and it launching on mainnet. So congrats to the Beacon Chain team for reaching this point. Okay, with some Ethereum news now, and like we know that last year the Rocket Pool team went to Devcon. Well, this year we've got a new Devcon happening in Thailand in November, and the Devcon team, like through the Ethereum Foundation blog, are now giving details for this. So they're saying that the two major updates. So programming tracks are live, so you can get some ideas of the different things that are happening at Devcon, and also ticket types and timelines are live. So here there are a bunch of tracks. So that includes things like core protocol, layer 2s, developer experiences, coordination, cypherpunk and privacy, applied cryptography, security, real world Ethereum, usability, and crypto economics. And then with tickets, they're saying that if there's some raffles with tickets that go to $299, then with discounts, there'll be various prices, and the general ticket will be $600, and that is beginning July 16th. And then they explain how the raffle works and how the different kinds of tickets work as well, and what kind of discounts you might be eligible for. The accommodation details and their preferred partners, I think that information went live as well, so you can find that. I asked in the conferences thread, actually let me just go back and have a look to see if somebody replied to me or not, but I asked about whether the team will be attending, and I'm fairly sure they will be, but I don't think anyone has replied to me yet. So I don't know. Maybe I should. Actually, yes. So I said, is the team going to Devcon? And Mav put a yes emoji on there. So that's really cool. So yeah, if you're going to Devcon, definitely make sure that you hang out with the Rocket Pool team. Ken said that this conference is much more, signal compared to noise. As comparison to ETH Denver, it's much more serious. Everyone's much more like developer minded, so that is really cool. So yeah, Devcon, it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool event if you are ready to go, and if you're ready to get to Thailand in November. Sadly, I won't be going this year, but maybe next year I'll become a professional conference attender. We got an update here from Eric O'Connor, and Eric is the host of Into the Ether, and this is a re-established Rise from the Flames podcast that he is running with Anthony Sassano, and this episode went live yesterday afternoon, and Into the Ether is back, Eric says. So in the first episode back, they are talking about the ETH ETF, surviving the crab market, base summer, L2 activity improvements, the ZK Sync airdrop, Coinbase championing Ethereum, and how the .eths aren't going anywhere. And the .eths are people with .eth in their username. Let me see if I'm a .eth. I think I am. Oh no, I'm not. I'm just whack with rocket fuel. Like, I need to put .eth back in there, but that's okay. But yeah, the .eths aren't going anywhere, which is really cool. So if you want to give that a listen, this is a podcast hosted by Eric Connor and Anthony Sassano. They're looking to make it a formal weekly thing. It's available on Spotify. It'll be on iTunes soon. You can get the direct RSS link if you want to get that information as well. And then it's also on YouTube. So if you want to listen to this, there's a whole lot of positivity around this podcast. So like I said, if you want to listen to it, definitely go check out those links. And I haven't had time to listen to this episode myself yet, but it's one of the top pieces on my podcast digest for the next couple of days. And I really want to give it a listen because I like the opinions of both hosts. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so one of the things that I was hinting at earlier was, Joe came back into trading, and this kind of was a spillover of a conversation that I was having with him in the NodeSet Discord where he posted yesterday. So we kind of had a little bit of a back and forth. It was the first time that I talked to Joe in what feels like months. So I was kind of bold with this. So I asked a question. I said, so I guess what I really wanted to ask you is if you're done working with Rocket Pool formally, and if you're now a NodeSet employee, or what the arrangement is, if you're comfortable answering. And how do you know? Sneaky Ninja Guy replied with the thonk emoji. And Joe says, I shall relay what I posted in the other server. I'm still contributing to the core of the Smart Node version 2 and have been for months. So in that respect, I didn't really ever stop working with Rocket Pool. And then he says, I'm still a team member. But then he kind of explains his situation a little bit. So he says, officially, I'm a NodeSet employee now because, very long story short, the US healthcare sucks at life, and being self-employed was no longer sufficient for my family situation. And NodeSet was able to offer healthcare basically through the employment with them. It says they are closely aligned with Rocket Pool, obviously, so this arrangement worked out well for everyone. And without them, I'd be back in a skiff, which is a secure something kind of environment. I think working on quantum computing, which is what Joe's job was before he became a Rocket Pool employee. And then we started a whole long discussion about healthcare in the US and how it is garbage and horrible. But I think this actually works well for both teams really well. Like, it adds a lot of legitimacy to the NodeSet project because Joe is an extremely well known. In fact, in some ways, he was like the face of the Rocket Pool team in the Rocket Pool Discord. And I think it adds a lot of legitimacy to NodeSet to have Joe being one of their official employees. And Rocket Pool still wins because, like Joe says, there's big overlaps between the work that he's doing with NodeSet and the work that he's doing with he was doing with Rocket Pool, and that especially works with the Smart Node version 2 and the back end of that, the Common Core software. So he actually will still have a whole lot of code contribution to Smart Node version 2 when it comes out, which is awesome. Now, for Joe, of course, for his personal life, this is huge because I think there were a lot of issues like he's kind of hinting at here, and I won't get into that, of course, because it's Joe's personal information. I don't know anything that he didn't mention in trading, by the way, but it seems like the situation is the best for everyone involved. And Rocket Pool still get contributions from Joe, which is great. NodeSet get the person who knows more about the Smart Node stack than pretty much anyone in the world on their books, to help with their version of the Smart Node hyperdrive, which is awesome. And then Rocket Pool, as as a community, we still get Joe hopefully coming and shit posting in trading, which is what we love him for. So there's a whole lot going on here, and I think it's hopefully going to be really good for Joe and his family, first of all, and then NodeSet and Rocket Pool after that. So good news. Yeah, so that's where Joe explained it. And then leading on from that discussion, here Jasper says, when I'm a physician, everyone will get free healthcare if you're a trading member at his clinic. So we're all going to hold Jasper to that, especially the Americans among us, because healthcare in the US is a joke. So thank you, Jasper, for that offer. That is legally binding now because it's going to get pinned in the Rocket Pool Discord. So that's great. So on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. And I hope you all have a lovely day. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.